Linda He, the chairwoman of Xi'an Overseas Consulting Group, was apprehended by Shanghai law enforcement. This agency, a major Sino-U.S. immigration organization headquartered in Shanghai, has come under scrutiny. Internal sources, cited in tweets, reveal that the police demanded comprehensive client data from Hu Mei, spanning decades of immigration services. The source advised Chinese green card or passport holders to prioritize their safety by leaving mainland China or avoiding return trips, especially between the U.S. and China. Shanghai police's arrest of Linda May was purportedly justified allegations of illegal foreign exchange transactions. Official media reported on August 10 that Shanghai police, in a case involving illegal foreign exchange trading, arrested Hu Mei and 5 others, with a case worth hundreds of millions of yuan. Xi'an Overseas Consulting Group is one of Shanghai's largest immigration intermediaries between China and the United States. The individual has been charged with illegal business operations and illegally providing foreign exchange services to others. Reports also indicate that authorities have requested the company to provide customer information for immigration spanning over a decade. Following this news, the topic has gained popularity on social media. Since the pandemic, the number of Chinese people immigrating or studying abroad has continued to rise, particularly to the United States, leading to increased business for immigration companies compared to previous years. So why have large immigration intermediaries become the focus of authorities? Is it to tighten control over capital outflows and foreign exchange regulations, or is it about strengthening political constraints? According to a journalist from Hong Kong, Beijing, and Toronto, Terence Shen revealed his assessment in terms of the arrest of He Mei, the company's chairman, on August 7 that the Chinese government persists in suppressing immigration agencies to hinder people from leaving the country. This applies to both the flight of capital and the departure of skilled individuals. In recent news, the chairman of China's largest agency, known as Xi'an Going Abroad, has been apprehended. This agency, headquartered in Shanghai, reportedly holds the top position in the nation for processing green card applications for 8 consecutive years. Xi'an Group, with branches in Shanghai, Beijing, Guangzhou, Shenzhen, and subsidiaries in cities like Qingdao, New York, Los Angeles, and Vancouver, faces accusations unrelated to its immigration services. Officially, the reason for He Mei's arrest is rooted in seeking unlawful gains. Allegedly, they employed a method of collecting Chinese yuan (RMB) within China and then providing foreign currency outside the country, engaging in unauthorized foreign exchange transactions for others. Additionally, 3 other employees were detained on charges of facilitating illegal foreign exchange through the use of underground banking methods. Currently, 2 individuals remain in custody, while 3 have been released on bail pending trial, totaling 5 involved parties. The core accusation revolves around illegal currency exchange, a practice that circumvents China's stringent foreign exchange controls. China's foreign exchange controls impose limitations on currency exchange for Chinese citizens. A maximum annual exchange of $50,000 USD is allowed. This divergence from many capitalist countries is designed to safeguard foreign exchange reserves, which serve as the bedrock for printing the Chinese renminbi (RMB), consequently preventing excessive issuance of RMB beyond the capacity of foreign exchange reserves is imperative to avert inflation. This interplay between exchange reserves, currency issuance, and economic stability underscores the complexity of financial management as China grapples with economic challenges, particularly in the face of global uncertainties. There is a heightened need for vigilant monitoring of existing foreign exchange reserves. The connection between economic performance and foreign exchange reserves underscores the intricate balance between maintaining financial stability and facilitating economic growth. The tightening of restrictions will intensify further. Previously, the government overlooked the practice of evading foreign exchange controls. However, the current crackdown is notably stringent. In the past, individuals who engaged in substantial currency exchanges were often connected to the affluent and powerful elite, thus avoiding embarrassment. The situation has changed due to the prioritization of national security, economic stability, and the advancement of open policies. This evolving landscape has prompted stricter foreign exchange controls, particularly focusing on service agencies facilitating overseas ventures. The recent arrest of the head of the largest intermediary firm involved in immigration to the United States serves as a conspicuous signal. It's likely that other such intermediary companies are maintaining a low profile and treading carefully, akin to cicadas and fragile ice. Furthermore, suppressing these agencies and acquiring their internal information aids the government in gathering data about individuals leaving, returning, or conducting activities on both sides. Such information can be leveraged to impose fines on those who engage in currency exchange through underground channels while departing the country in violation of Chinese laws. Among these individuals, there might be some wielding political influence, becoming susceptible to anti-corruption measures. This strategic approach is illustrated in the example of Alibaba in the internet industry, which specifically targets leading companies within various sectors, including the immigration industry, as a primary strategy. Considering the current situation in China, one can draw a parallel with places that allow entry but hinder exit, akin to prisons, criminal syndicates, or cults. The analogy underscores the challenge of departing once within their confines. This analogy mirrors the current scenario in China, where stringent currency exchange limitations constrict the possibility of overseas movement. As these restrictions on currency exchange tighten and immigrants face increased suppression, it is conceivable that China's trajectory is shaping into something distinct. This reality compels a proactive approach. It is better to depart sooner rather than later. The comparison is made to individuals involved with criminal groups. If you decide to stay, you inevitably risk dire consequences. This principle is applicable to leaving cults as well. The process is not straightforward. Ultimately, those who remain in such situations are likely to become expendable pawns. Although things may seem unproblematic today, and the consequences of non-compliance have not been felt, one must anticipate that adversity may strike unexpectedly. Those having awareness should recognize this fundamental truth. This is a recounting of a colleague's experiences shared by Terence Xi'an, detailing their impressions upon returning to China. According to Terence Xi'an, a colleague of his engaged in a conversation with him recently. Terence inquired about the colleague's return to China, to which the colleague bluntly stated that China's situation was dire. The colleague narrated his journey, stating that he had transited through Hong Kong before flying to Shanghai. While both Hong Kong and Shanghai involved security checks, the staff in Hong Kong displayed civility, and he cleared customs smoothly. However, upon arrival in Shanghai, he sensed a loss of dignity. The security check process there was disrespectful and felt akin to an interrogation, evoking imagery of a prisoner's treatment. Numerous questions were posed, such as why he had spent 5 years abroad before coming back to China. He explained that due to the epidemic, he was unable to return earlier. The security personnel then asked how long he planned to stay in China this time. His response of 1 month led to another query. Why such a short duration? Further along his journey as he progressed from Shanghai to Nanjing, he was taken aback by the experience. Particularly striking was the pervasive presence of red slogans and keywords extolling Xi Jinping and the core principles of Chinese socialism, as if he had inadvertently stepped into the Cultural Revolution era. His experience continued as he encountered an ex-boyfriend who had transformed into a government employee responsible for displaying slogans in public spaces. The conversation with the ex-boyfriend prompted the colleague to erase any traces of contact with him. Terence Xi'an noted that the colleague's trip back to China had been eye-opening, leading to a cure for what Terence referred to as pink disease. The sincerity of the colleague's observations was unmistakable, reflecting the current state of affairs in China. Another individual has also shared their sentiments after returning to China for a short visit, after more than 5 years of absence. This time, their experience has left them feeling somewhat out of place. They highlight a significant change: the scarcity of places accepting Visa and MasterCard payments. Instead, QR code-based payment methods like WeChat, Alipay, Meituan, and Dianping dominate. With only a limited number of places accepting cash, this creates a challenging situation for foreign tourists without access to a Chinese mobile phone number. essentially limiting their options to the point where they might consider cutting their trip short. While electronic payment is often touted as convenient, this particular individual believes it doesn't align with global standards, being overly pervasive. During my early years, I moved abroad and settled in Australia when I was just 10 years old. After completing my education, I pursued work for a period of time. However, for reasons that remain unclear, I decided to return to China. Surprisingly, I even became involved in the propaganda efforts of China's Central Television TV. Unfortunately, this decision led to my arrest by the Chinese government, accused of being an Australian spy. The person in question is Chong Lilei, who had previously been a prominent host of a major foreign propaganda program under CGN CCTV. On the third anniversary of Chang Li's arrest, she shared an open letter expressing deep feelings of attachment and affection for Australia. Describing it as a love letter to the vast expanse of 25 million people and 7 million square kilometers of land, she recounted how Australia had nurtured and shaped her. This prompted her to reflect on the reasons for her initial move to Australia, her decision to return to China, and her subsequent involvement in Chinese affairs. While the charges against her involve allegations of espionage on behalf of Australia, it's important to refrain from making definitive statements about the accuracy of these claims. The possibility exists that he unintentionally leaked sensitive information, as the media and government personnel may have unknowingly been entangled in political disputes. Her arrest occurred during a particularly tense period in China-Australia relations, underscoring the complex political backdrop. Chang Li has paid a significant price for her prior actions, facing both repercussions and criticism for her past affiliations and involvements. There's a shared hope that she will eventually secure her release from prison, enabling her to reshape her past and build a positive future. Having relocated to Australia, it's hoped that she can embrace a genuine, down-to-earth fondness for her new homeland rather than continually fixating on what she refers to as his motherland, given that it may not reciprocate the sentiment. Wiley's overseas investment impact. Wiley has successfully facilitated the immigration of more than 16,000 individuals. The company boasts fully owned subsidiaries in major Chinese cities like Shanghai, Beijing, Guangzhou, and Shenzhen, as well as in global hubs such as New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Vancouver, Sydney, Singapore, and Hong Kong. The company has received numerous accolades in the industry. Wiley is a strong advocate of the concept of immigrating without relocating, highlighting their commendable efficiency. Prospective immigrants to various destinations can expect rapid processing times. Approval from U.S. immigration authorities within 2 days, state government approval for Australia in just 1 day, landing in Vancouver within a month for Canada, and securing investment residence visas for Europe in as little as 5 days. Furthermore, Wiley and clients play a substantial role in overseas investments, successfully undertaking over 100 investment projects in the U.S., including notable landmarks like the Pennsylvania Convention Center, Comcast headquarters in Philadelphia, and Cleveland Medical Center. Consequently, the arrest of Humi appears to carry broader implications than just her personal assets. Rumors circulated that Hermes was arrested on August 7th, with insiders suggesting that authorities demanded access to decades of client data due to concerns. The official narrative surrounding Wiley and overseas consulting groups' crackdown primarily revolves around its involvement in illegal forex trading. However, the challenges of physically leaving China and transferring money abroad are widely recognized as difficult for Chinese immigrants. Blogger Zhang Lei, a former ITT manager from China now living in the U.S., shared insights. He explained China's foreign exchange controls are limited to $50,000 per person annually, and for foreign entrepreneurs seeking U.S. permanent residency through the EB5 visa, the required investment has risen to $800,000 from the previous $500,000. This necessitates fragmented transactions, which can be considered illegal foreign exchange. Zhang Lei noted that this case sets a foundation for the Chinese police to scrutinize immigration companies further, potentially serving as a new revenue stream for the government. He advised Chinese tycoons to leave the country before it's too late. Scholar Feng Chongyi, based in Australia, stated that the Chinese Communist Party's draconian laws, such as restricting foreign exchange to $50,000 annually, treat anyone desiring to leave the country as a criminal. He emphasized that this crackdown is a political maneuver with broader implications, reflecting a return to Mao-era governance. Public records indicate that the Wiley and Overseas Consulting Group is the largest immigration agency in Shanghai, handling green card applications for many years. It operates across major Chinese cities and global hubs, accumulating numerous industry recognitions. This approach also resonates with entrepreneurs who rely on government contracts or those who've built their ventures with state support. These individuals, benefiting from both sides, are now viewed by the Chinese government as a valuable resource. Threatening realities. Anti-espionage in China. In an educational video for primary school students about anti-espionage laws, the Chinese government emphasized and promoted the absolute necessity for students to remain vigilant. The Chinese Communist Party, CPO, promotes the utilization of the 12,339 reporting hotline as a means to encourage individuals to display allegiance. A boyfriend's inability to sing the national anthem becomes a suspicion, leading his girlfriend to report him to the police on espionage grounds. Aspects reminiscent of the Chinese Cultural Revolution reappear through excessive counterintelligence propaganda. Citizens are being urged to report potential spies, following the concept of looking for the walking 500,000 rewards. Even the incorrect rendition of the national anthem raises concerns. A girlfriend, driven by a patriotic sentiment, reports her boyfriend as a suspected spy, fearing disloyalty to the country. Amid the ongoing leak case within the Rocket Army, extreme measures are taken to prevent foreign infiltration, even at the risk of making inadvertent mistakes, leading to nationwide apprehension. The communist espionage case tied to the 2020 general election in Taiwan has experienced a near 4-year delay. Xi'an and his wife remain exempt from prosecution, yet money laundering restrictions extend until September 23, preventing them from leaving the country. Under the counter-espionage law, they could be suspected of being walking 500,000, implying collaboration with foreign entities. The term walking 500,000 refers to a reward system introduced by the Beijing National Security Bureau, offering rewards between 100,000 and 500,000 yuan for substantial leads related to espionage. In essence, capturing a spy is akin to finding a walking cash prize. In a video by the Tonbai Police Department, a female officer explains how to identify spies using covert signs, emphasizing the potential presence of spies in daily life. It's cautioned that those who've emigrated abroad but frequently return to China pose a significant threat, in light of the arrest of Hu Meimai and subpoena for customer details. Clear-headed individuals recognize the urgency of leaving swiftly and converting money into reliable currencies like the US dollar. For those already overseas, returning should be avoided unless absolutely necessary. Playing both sides by maintaining allegiances to both the party and the country could be perilous. The current regime in China, facing desperation, might resort to ruthless measures. It's advised not to underestimate the politics of the Chinese Communist Party, as not grasping this can lead to substantial losses. A user on Twitter noted the CCP's financial struggles and its historical tendency to exploit the wealthy to further its goals. It's recommended to move funds abroad, as the CCP's appetite for resources is significant. Failure to do so might result in the closure of opportunities and even coercion. Being perceived as law-abiding is no safeguard, as the CCP sees itself as the ultimate authority. Former IT manager in China, Jungle, shared his immigration experience, advising individuals to swiftly move to Thailand for an elite visa and then proceed to the U.S. consulate for an interview. Staying in Thailand for over 6 months enables the issuance of a non-criminal certificate by Thai authorities. indicating no ties to China. Jungle emphasized the urgency of leaving to save oneself, highlighting that ordinary citizens' ease aren't prioritized by the authorities. It is advisable for all Chinese individuals with U.S. green cards or U.S. passports to consider their safety when traveling between China and the U.S. This advisory suggests prompt departure from China or refraining from returning, even when the largest immigration agency is compelled to release over 20 years of client data. It raises speculation about potential pressure faced by other agencies. Could this point to a looming government investigation into the wealthy elites who've left the country? This includes the family members of Chinese officials, often referred to as naked officials, whose spouses and children have settled abroad or acquired foreign nationality. Is there a possibility that officials themselves could become the target of a governmental sweep? Insider sources from within China hint at palpable tension among immigration firms, possibly due to the perception that immigration drains the country's finances. Aside from those who have liquidated their Chinese assets or entrepreneurs and high earners, many individuals with undisclosed income sources, corrupt officials or so-called naked officials, find explaining their wealth origins a challenge. Unlike typical affluent individuals who leave China, these officials have retained substantial interests and assets within the country. Unveiling this demographic might provide the Chinese government with another potential revenue stream. Prominent former mainland media figure Xi'an's comments on social media suggest that billionaires should anticipate their data being seized and their assets liquidated. A post highlighted that data related to corrupt officials and wealthy individuals involved in immigration over the past 2 decades is under scrutiny. Both immigration agencies and their clients are expected to face severe consequences. Reports suggest that police have demanded all client data related to immigration spanning decades, with the analysis implying a focus on non-core second-generation officials and their families, aiming to uncover their workings. Partisans further suggest that a new era has begun, with Beijing authorities cracking down on immigration agencies under the pretext of curbing foreign exchange abuses. This move may serve 2 purposes. Firstly, profiting from wealthy individuals with limited political backgrounds, including potentially vulnerable officials, to compensate for a tightening financial situation. Secondly, an attempt to manage potential capital outflows given China's declining imports, exports, foreign direct investment, and a falling exchange rate, all posing challenges. Authorities aim to address these issues by plugging gaps in the system. Exploring the notion of immigrating without moving involves the idea that acquiring permanent residency in a foreign country doesn't necessarily require physical relocation. Individuals can secure permanent residency in another country while still living in China. Xi'an has spearheaded research into streamlined immigration processes, achieving notable feats such as obtaining green card approvals for U.S. clients within 2 days and Australian clients within a single day. Through the One Belt, One Road initiative, Xi'an has introduced European programs that don't mandate residency, enabling families to maintain Chinese citizenship while attaining European permanent residency, granting access to 26 countries. This concept of immigration without relocation might be appealing to certain corrupt Chinese officials as it permits them to continue their roles in China, engage in business, and hold foreign citizenship as a safeguard against domestic instability. What about the truth behind Chinese immigration intermediaries? When the news on Hualian Overseas Consulting Group spread abroad, there were comments on Chinese Twitter suggesting that the Shanghai police might be trying to force Mr. He to reveal information about all the immigration clients from the past decade. This could be significant because Hualian Immigration has served a considerable number of clients over the years. Most of these Chinese immigrants have acquired U.S. green cards but still live in China. If the police obtain this data, they would know which individuals possess U.S. green card status and potentially subject them to scrutiny. This situation has caused a fair amount of concern among the tens of thousands of immigrant families, according to the assumptions and assessments of an expert named Wang Xi'an, who used to be a well-known Chinese investigative reporter on CCTV. Chinese immigration intermediary companies are subject to regulation by 2 departments: the Bureau of Industry and Commerce and the Public Security Bureau. These companies need to deposit a substantial sum as a guarantee when opening an office in any city, and if issues arise during the immigration process, this deposit can be forfeited. Also, while the police don't explicitly demand client data, they can acquire it if necessary, making the assumption that his arrest is connected to data acquisition less likely. Furthermore, the news mentions suspicions of foreign exchange money laundering, which has larger implications for the industry. Most immigration intermediaries help clients transfer money overseas for investment immigration projects, often involving unconventional methods. However, the assumption that his arrest for forcing data disclosure is inaccurate, given that the police have the authority to access client data without such tactics. This situation has highlighted some of the secrets and challenges in the Chinese immigration intermediary industry involving high-profile groups, investment projects, and regulatory oversight. The industry has seen significant growth, especially in projects like the EB5 Investment Immigration Program, which allows people to apply for a U.S. green card by investing in economically disadvantaged areas. The program had a slow start but gained traction after the 2008 financial crisis affected real estate financing. This led to collaborations between immigration companies and these projects. China has undergone significant changes. On one hand, due to its entry into the World Trade Organization, private wealth in China has rapidly grown. Many wealthy individuals in China, due to concerns about the domestic environment, feel safer having a U.S. green card as it provides the flexibility to leave whenever needed. Families often pursue investment immigration with the hope of sending their children to the U.S. for education. This trend has led to numerous immigration companies promoting the EB5 Investment Immigration Program in China. This program doesn't have stringent language requirements or strict financial compliance checks compared to countries like Canada and Australia, making it attractive to many. However, challenges have arisen. There is an annual quota of 10,000 visas for the EB5 program, allocated by country. With a limited 7 share for each country, the high demand from China's approximately 50,000 families has led to lengthy waiting times. On average, it takes about 10 years to secure a U.S. green card through this program due to the limited availability of visas. Despite this, many immigration companies are drawn to promote the EB5 program because it can be highly profitable. The fees for the program have increased, with the investment amount rising from $500,000 to $800,000. When you consult an immigration company, they usually break down the costs. $500,000 for the investment, around $55,000 for management fees, $10,000 for lawyer fees, and a few $1,000s for application fees. They may only charge around $10,000 for their consulting services, but this is not the whole picture. In reality, the so-called management fee of $55,000 is often fully returned to the immigration company by the fund company. Similarly, a significant portion of the lawyer and application fees is also reimbursed to the immigration company. Top of the $10,000 consulting fee, each transaction can earn the immigration company tens of thousands of dollars. Additionally, the investment is usually made in a private fund, which has an annual return rate of around 0.25 to 0.58. However, the immigration companies also receive a share of the interest, which can range from 4 to 8 annually, adding to their profits. Overall, one transaction of $500,000 can earn the immigration company around $170,000 to $270,000 in profits, or even more for larger investments. This explains why immigration companies are willing to promote the EB5 program extensively. The program's profitability can be compared to the drug trade in terms of high returns. However, this trend has raised questions about how the funds supporting such high returns are managed. Difficult too will need to give it 7 to 8. How much money does this project have to earn? That's what I'm going to talk about today. The hidden aspects of investment immigration projects. China Overseas Group invested billions of dollars in over 70 projects, including Time Warner Cleveland 9, Euclid Brooklyn Navy Reconstruction, George Washington Bridge Infrastructure, Johns Hopkins University, and Klausner Group's Mary Hotel and the wood manufacturing plant. Pay attention. It's the China Overseas company that's promoting these projects. Among them is the Hudson Square project in New York. This company raised $600 million to this project, which means they sponsored 1,200 people for investment immigration. Among these 1,200 investors, the loans they provided for this project are known as mezzanine loans in the U.S. This means that as an investor, you buy a U.S. private equity fund, which then loans the money to the project developer. The interest rate on these loans is around 15 to 18, which is quite high. What's crucial is that these loans are not backed by physical assets. They're backed by the project's equity. If the project fails, the equity disappears and your investment is lost. Normally, such loans require physical collateral to ensure the principal's safety, but equity-backed loans mean if the project fails, your collateral disappears too. These mezzanine loans are risky and not bought in the U.S. market because of the high risk, but Chinese immigration companies sold these to Chinese families seeking investment immigration without proper risk disclosure. The families believed they were getting 4 to 8 returns, but in reality, they only received 0.25 to 0.5 annually. The companies hid key documents that would have informed clients about the high risks involved. This manipulation turned the investment immigration into a large-scale scam. The companies promoted projects like the Hudson Square project, which eventually stopped repaying both principal and interest. This issue affects thousands of families. These issues are not just isolated cases. They indicate a systematic problem in the investment immigration industry. Recent regulatory changes have raised the minimum investment amount for EB5 immigration from $500,000 to around $900,000. This is a window of opportunity for investment immigration, and some argue that China's government wants to tighten control over this industry and prevent capital flight. It's suggested that the government isn't just cracking down on money laundering but also on the entire immigration intermediary industry. These intermediaries have benefited immensely from a lack of transparency, high fees, and hidden risks. The analysis suggests that many people are choosing to immigrate and move away from China due to economic uncertainties. On the one hand, the government can tighten control on immigration-related activities with the purpose of abolishing, nowadays despite numerous immigration service companies operating in China. The government often turns a blind eye. People question what the government's intentions are. When news came out, many experts couldn't deny that China aims to leverage these corporations to gather information for their other purposes. We don't know the truth behind the scene, but in some ways we can imagine the overall picture which Chinese government has been drawing recently. If you are interested, you can subscribe to have updates on China's information.